see a win, and I agree. I think that's a confidence builder there. That
Right.
was after what was that 2 losses in a row? I think it was right. It was 1.5, 1.5. Then Magnus won twice, so he stopped the momentum there.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Knights are tricky. That was a blunder by Magnus in a really promising position.
Yeah.
So now we have what do we have here? G6, some Scotch
Some scotch.
theory, which I'm
Not
not.
that kind of scotch.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, so bishop e3. This is theory, and now the knight will fall back to d4. Actually, is
Well,
usually or knight g3. Both are possible.
so Hikaru played e4 this game. He's mixing it up. We've seen in most of the matches the players stick to one or two lines. This has been one of the more diverse matches in terms of opening selection that we've had so far.
Yeah, I agree. Good point, because we've had a lot of Speed Chess Championship matches this year, and we have seen, yeah, a pretty wide repertoire by both players. Both of these
Well,
guys
this
feature the Scotch as white from time to time. So,
bishop g2. Sometimes black goes for d5 right away.
yeah. And I think after castles, you might see it. No, okay. Magnus
Knight
playing
d2 and then d5. He's maybe gonna get the knight to knight on d2 is maybe not ideal. Is it where we're gonna see d5 or d6? It's also possible. It's a flexible line for both players,
yeah.
but d5 will definitely cause some tension. If d6, then white's gonna get some development with h3, with rook e1, with f4, some expansion.
Okay, well, the clock is ticking here. Magnus not normally taking this kind of time in the opening.
Uh, I don't think against Magnus you can afford to go down 3 games or more. There's a certain there's a certain amount where it's like it's too much. So I think we got to start seeing a hold here, whether it takes 5 draws or just groveling. But
Yeah, agreed absolutely. And Hikaru is staring into the camera right now, wondering what Magnus is thinking about. Magnus decides to go for the more flexible approach, as you said, d5 a little
so
more forcing.
d6, h3, you want to maybe play queen c2, rook e1, f4.
Hmm.
Black's going to take some pot shots against this position. Maybe sometimes knight h5. Here you might be playing c5 and d5,
So
something
he's
aggressive.
inducing f4. What's he saying here, though? Right? If he's trying
If
to,
f4, he's going to play knight e to d7, bring it to c5, and attack this e pawn.
well, we're going to see the battle, right? Because then white can
We
play queen
are. We
c2.
are. Queen c2, rook e1, bishop f2, and I got a pawn center. I'm
Right?
happy. Okay, he's doing this one first. Either way, going to protect the center. I like bishop f2 because knight h5 does happen sometimes, but now
Yep.
g3 is protected. And Hikaru's got a space advantage. He should be happy here. This is a workable position. Rook
Yeah.
e1, king h1, b4, expand.
Maybe even g4, g5. Right? You have
G4, G5. Yep. Yep.
different
He's
ways
gonna.
that
It
white
looks like
can.
he's gonna slow play it, but yes, yes. In the long run, for sure.
But also not a bad approach from Black's perspective in the sense that these games, even though White has the space, White seems to be in charge of the direction. Black has no real long-term weaknesses, so if White overpresses, then Black gets play at White's king eventually,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So that's kind of the king h2
So
now.
king h2. Sometimes you play h5. Okay, he's done it. Whew. Well, I think Hikaru should pretty soon start to make a decision. Do I play c4? Do I play b4? Black has a lot of these knights on f6 and c5 are rather annoying. Right now he's starting e5, Danny, and that d6 pawn needs to stay put because of the c5 knight. So he adds a c5 there, and then maybe now e5.
Yep.
E5. This is looking. This looks like a great position for white. E5. Bring my knight to
I like
e5.
e5. I
Okay,
also
e5.
like
There's
just
a
kind
line.
of. I guess I'm biased to the space. I like just sitting tight, but e5 looks good. You're
There's a
right, and he goes
complicated
for it.
line after e5. Pawn takes, knight takes h4,
Ooh,
trying to break up that kingside position.
undermining the f4 pawn.
I think that's what Magnus is planning. You can take back with a pawn as well, though, and bring your knight to e4, and you're still very active as white. But if knight takes e5, he's willing to lose that bishop if you can play h4.
Yeah, knight takes e5. Crazy idea, Eric. f5 was a move there, maybe to consider. Okay, but Magnus
They're
is going to
gone
make
for it. G. Well, this
the f4 pawn's falling.
this this is what Magnus wants. He's got a solid position around his king. White has a space advantage, but now he's going to take some weaknesses. And after h4, his knight's going to he's going to take on g3. He's going to get some play against Hikaru's king. And this isn't what you normally want to allow. You don't. This is not control. So
Yep.
But Hikaru might be playing f5 at some
I
point. It
think he's
might
going
turn
to have to
into
play f5. And
f5, right?
you've said you
Yep.
really can't afford to go down by three games to Magnus Carlsen in any match format. If you're just joining us, this is the
Well,
Speed Chess Championship
he's.
Finals.
I think
I think you got G4
like
now.
White's position
Yeah,
despite this h4 move
I'm liking it.
because it seems like his bishops are just gonna be supreme leader.
Supreme leader. King H1 now, and the H4 pawn is still under fire. Or King G1. Both are. Okay. All right, but Magnus has to go for this, and with it, here comes 94, and the G pawn is under fire. Yeah, it looks like.
They're just losing a pawn. You're just losing a pawn there. This is.
I mean,
this
honestly,
is
the evaluation is just creeping toward White's advantage, and I don't even see any dynamic chances for. If anything, Magnus.
Knight on D7 can't move. Knight on D7 can't move. Oh, this is looking bad. You might not take back right away. Okay, he did.
Because there's rook D3, rook G3, maybe.
So now
swing.
don't take on G3. Bring your rook.
Yeah,
and take back with the rook. Okay, queen also works. He's gonna. Now this is looking almost lost here. If not lost, very close. If Hikaru finds the right moves, Magnus should be drawing dead.
And if you're Hikaru, you got to be encouraged, because if the Scotch ends up being something you can go back to, this is probably as good of a game as we've seen for Nakamura from start to finish. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
Magnus did give him the space. Thought he was gonna, be able to challenge it. But right now the knights are just really bad on D7 and F8.
Yep.
So knight, what is he gonna go? Knight H7? Are there any tactics here?
Yeah, you start looking at
because if
on
black
D7,
wants to bring the knight to F6 from D7 and blockade.
Okay.
I would expect, but yeah.
Here comes knight G5.
He's trying to establish a blockade.
Knight G5, queen takes F5. You can get out.
No. Then there's knight takes F7 check, or rook takes E8. So knight G5, black has to, I think, move the king. But
yeah, knight G5. There may be rook takes E1, rook takes E1, and then queen G8 to defend. But you just start feeling like white is one move away from winning, like rook E7 almost. I guess. Okay, you have to be accurate, obviously, to convert on the attack. But yeah, white seems to be. I
would play knight G5. The reason black really wants his knight on F6 is to stop white from ever playing F6 himself and bringing the bishop to E4, for example, adding more pieces.
Yeah.
So, but knight G5.
Knight G5 has the other hidden merit too, Eric, that it opens up the bishop on G2 to hit B7 in the long run. Okay, he trades.
He can pick up a pawn if he wants.
And that's maybe why he goes for this. I mean, he's gonna.
I thought he was, but this move first. Okay, it's still very good. Open position, great bishop on G2. Black's king is not looking safe, but I have to think that Magnus is happy with recent developments in that with the pieces being traded off. Far fewer mating nets now, and he might be trying to play a move like queen F. Okay, now queen D8. I'm expecting maybe queen D8, queen D6. Queen D8, queen D6. I like. White is up a pawn. That's the important part, because otherwise black, if he can get some dark square blockades, it's going to be hard.
It doesn't feel like Hikaru got the most out of that there. We'll see.
No, it's an H pawn. It's just an H pawn. So he did queen D8, queen D6. I like this by Magnus. I really like it. What happens after queen G4? Queen F8 is forced.
Yeah.
And he wants to play rook H6 and knight F6. This dark square construction. Rook H6, knight F6, and he's safe. Rook H6, knight F6. Magnus is playing very simple here, but
Magnus is
very
being
effective.
And Hikaru is.
This is not a winning attack, Danny.
Yeah,
this is a pawn up and not a great pawn. Not a great pawn. Hikaru's gonna. That's a bit of a mischance here. Rook H5. What's happening?
Got to give a quick shout out to Polborta, who just subscribed on Twitch. That's Peter Svidler. Shout out. Okay, queen d4 check will force the knight to come back, but if anything, if this turns into a win for Magnus, that's more than a moral victory. That's a kind of a soul-crushing loss for Hikaru.
I like this move, rook e1. Yeah, queen d4 would be a repetition, but Hikaru knows that this is a game he has to strive for the maximum. I would be, so rook check, king g7. Black's going to play knight f6, going to put a king on g7, knight f6, almost no matter what.
Yeah, now there's all these threats of knight f2 check coming for black. This is super tricky.
This bishop on g2 is not very happy right now.
Not at all, yeah.
It's playing a defensive role, and the knight's just dancing around it.
So
we're looking, do you consider king g1 at some point? King g1, so king g7. King G7 I expect to be played. There's Queen
King
D4
G7,
check.
there's Queen D4 check, but the knight can just retreat. And the question is, even up a pawn, is white even better in this endgame? I would say
It's
no.
blockaded. No,
Yeah,
no.
I mean,
But he played King H7. Why? Is he baiting F6? He's
I think Magnus is
probably
playing for the
baiting
win.
F6.
He's pointing out to Hikaru that something got away from him here.
Well, now if Knight G4 check, King G1, and you've accomplished something.
Knight G4 check, King H1.
Actually, this is quite clever. If you trade the queens now, the knight on F2 is not good. If you play Knight G1, I play King G1. I'm a little.
Wow,
Rook E7 is coming, Danny. So Rook D6.
Rook D6, Rook E7.
I think Rook D6 is necessary. And then after Rook here, you play King G7.
By the way, King G3 was interesting there because where's this knight going?
Well, that's the question. That's why I'm not sure. That's why I'm not sure about this whole setup.
Okay, so, if you're Hikaru, you're now in a position where probably you're the only one who can win the endgame with that extra pawn, but you still have squandered away what was a massive attack. So
I would probably bring my king in King G3 right now. This way, so knight. So what's happening?
Knight takes
Knight
A2
takes
against Rook
A2.
C6. That's the idea.
Oh well, then this is a problem. So King F6 has to be played. King F6. What else?
King
A3,
F6
knight
is going
takes
to allow,
D5.
is A3 a move, and then if knight D5, we get a big trade, and Rook C6 check. Okay, still should be a draw.
Well, white has the pawn in that endgame. King F6, A3, knight D5, Rook D3, King E5. How's that endgame? That's probably a winning pawn endgame for Hikaru. That's why King F6 can't be played, because white will just trade everything off and play King G3 and have the H pawn running.
That's a fantastic point. So that means Magnus had to play a move he didn't want to, which was Rook D7, everybody.
So now if A3, knight D5, Rook D3, there's knight F6. If you want to hold, you want to at least keep the knight on the board, I guess, in some of those positions.
And you're still down a pawn, but likely doing just fine, because this F pawn is really not ideal, blocking in the scope of your own bishop. Oh, wow, F6 check, followed by A3, and then Rook C6 with check, picking up the B6 pawn. Hikaru is poised here.
I like that.
Here comes A3.
He's got the outside pass pawn in endgame. So if knight D5, Rook D3, King E5, you trade everything off, you play King G3, you do have the outside pawn. Outside pass pawn, the H pawn, which is going to cause black to have to retreat the king.
Yeah.
But if knight A6, as you said, Rook C6 check, and you traded off one of your bad pawns for one of black's important pawns. So Magnus is like,
going to call the king and pawn ending bluff here. Usually the outside pass pawn should be winning.
Do you think it's a bluff?
I don't think it's a bluff, but I was just trying to calculate it on the analysis board. Here goes. We're going to find out.
Here goes.
Because here comes King G3 first, and is white not winning? Based on everything I know about these endings, the outside pass pawn should win. He's got F5.
King F5, A4. You probably want to push your pawn at A4, so when you win B6 in some lines, it's going to be a bit quicker. But right now, H5 is not a... is it really a threat?
Ooh, F5 is a weird move.
King E3?
Yeah.
King E3.
And actually, both sides are going to queen at the same time.
This white queen's first.
Another queen and pawn ending. These increase my blood
pressure. My head hurts. Okay,
yeah, I was going to say, these are not my favorite endgames.
King E4. No, he's going for this, but this is
all
of a sudden good.
You've got to be kidding me. Hikaru just totally missed Queen D3.
Yeah, this is just good for Magnus now. White's king. Look at White's king. Totally offside.
Well, Queen C3 was terrible. You had to play Queen E5 check or...
Yes. Queen E5 check, then King D2. But now all of a sudden, this is bad. King D4. King D4. King D4, there's Queen G1 maybe. But this...
And the reason we're freaking out, everybody, is because now if the queens are traded, whoever's king is closer to the pawns will win. And Magnus has created a situation
where...
there
are no more checks
no more checks for Hikaru. And if he trades
Queen D4 check and King D2. I like Queen D4 check and King D2.
Walk it over.
Or Queen takes B2 actually is also possible.
Is Queen C5 check? No. Okay, I thought maybe he could play Queen C5.
King D2 or Queen takes B2 seem good. Okay, King D3 as well. He's saying that I can take that pawn later, but I want to move my king. Ideally, if like Queen B5 check King C2 and just maximize before taking my profit. Queen takes B2. Do it.
Yeah, and it's
A4. So how do you create a pass pawn? Well, still not so easy because how do you actually make progress from here?
Yeah.
You need to trade the queens off in the right manner.
Right. If the white king gets into one of these squares like C6 or B5.
King's going to B3.
Yep, and if
This
you
is
get two
looking
pass
like
pawns, you're winning. And Hikaru is super frustrated with himself right now. He just
oh, that
resigns the
is
game. Wow,
incredible, Danny.
that's the kind of turnaround that wins
That's
matches right there, because
yes.
Magnus had no